In the 6th century CE, Arabia was neither isolated nor primitive. It sat between two aging empires, Byzantium to the west and Sasanian Persia to the east. Their long war from 602 to 628 devastated the Levant and Mesopotamia, draining treasuries and armies. Non-Arab tribes, some allied to Byzantium, others to Persia, patrolled the frontiers as buffer states. Languages intertwined. Aramaic, Greek, South Arabian, Persian, Kurdish, and Arabic mingled in markets from Gaza to Hira. Religions overlapped too. Christianity, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, and local pagan cults coexisted in uneasy pluralism. Mecca prospered as a caravan hub, linking Yemen to Syria. Its leading clan, Quraysh, managed trade and pilgrimage to the Kaaba, a shrine already sacred to many tribes. Here, around 610 CE, a merchant named Muhammad ibn Abd Allah reported revelations commanding him to proclaim one God. The early message blended moral reform, honesty, charity, restraint, with uncompromising monotheism. The Quraysh elite, fearing disruption of pilgrimage revenues and tribal balance, resisted fiercely. By 615 CE, a few followers fled to Christian Abyssinia. The rest endured boycott and persecution. In 692 CE, Muhammad and his followers migrated north to Yathrib, soon called Medina. The event, the Hijra, marks year 1 of the Islamic calendar. There he became not only prophet but statesman and judge. The constitution of Medina, probably drawn between 622 and 624 CE, defined a confederation of Muslims, Jews, and allied tribes bound in mutual defense. Faith and politics merged. Allegiance was owed to the Ummah, the community, rather than tribe alone. Conflict with Mecca continued. Victories at Badr in 624 CE and Khaybar in 628 CE strengthened Muhammad's position. Defeats like Uhud in 625 CE and tempered it. In 630 CE, Mecca surrendered. Most Arabian tribes followed. When Muhammad died in 632 CE, nearly all Arabia recognized his authority. But consensus was fragile. Some tribes sought independence, others withheld taxes. The new leader, Abu Bakr, from 632 to 634, confronted this challenge in the Ridda Wars. By 634 CE, he had restored unity, linking religious loyalty to fiscal obligation. Historians such as Hugh Kennedy and Fred Donner note that early expansion after 632 CE arose from multiple pressures. Let's look at these one by one. First, political vacuum to Byzantium and Persia were crippled by war and plague, their frontier garrisons underpaid and demoralized. Second, economic motive. Arabia's fragile ecology could not sustain its population. External campaigning offered booty and stipends. Third, religious and social ideology. The Ummah envisioned itself as a universal moral order. Expansion served both faith and survival. Fourth, internal cohesion. Directing tribal energies outward prevented renewed civil war within Arabia. These were pragmatic conquests of opportunity, not a pre-planned crusade. Let's break down these conquests one by one. The first conquests from 632 to 640 CE. In 633 CE, Arab forces under Khalid ibn al-Walid swept into what is now southern Iraq, defeating Persian detachments at Ulays and Hira. By 634 CE, they turned west toward what is now Syria, meeting Byzantine forces at Ajnadain. After Abu Bakr's death, Umar ibn al-Khattab intensified operations. In 636 CE at Yarmouk, near the Golan Heights, an outnumbered Arab army routed Byzantium's field force. Within 2 years, Damascus and Jerusalem had surrendered. To the east, in 636 CE, Al-Qadisiyah opened Mesopotamia. Ctesiphon, the Persian capital, fell in 637 CE. The Sasanian monarch Yazdegerd III fled east, pursued until his death in 651 CE. In Egypt, Amr ibn al-As invaded in 639 CE and took Alexandria by 642 CE, detaching a vital grain province from Byzantium. These campaigns combined tribal mobility, pragmatic diplomacy, and fiscal restraint. Arab armies often negotiated local surrenders first, rather than razing cities. Existing bureaucracies were left largely intact, but taxed to support the new regime. Garrison settlements, Kufa, Basra, and Fustat, were founded to house soldiers apart from native populations, ensuring discipline and rapid deployment. Sources like al-Baladuri's Futu al-Buldan and the letters preserved in early papyri show a policy both pragmatic and hierarchical. Non-Muslims who surrendered were designated dhimmis, protected peoples. They paid the jizya poll tax in return for protection and kharaj land tax, but retained property, religion, and local law. Executions of prisoners were rare compared with contemporary norms. Ransoms and exchanges were common. Women captured in war could be enslaved, violated, ransomed, or married into Arab tribes, practices paralleling late antique conventions. These are well documented by historians such as Al-Tabari, 839-932 CE. Some prisoners entered household service and over generations assimilated through conversion or manumission. Urban populations were generally spared massacre if they did not resist. Continuity of tax revenue mattered more than terror. In what are now Syria and Iraq, many Christian towns preferred new rulers to the fiscally harsher Byzantine or Persian officials. Bishops negotiated protection. Coptic and Syriac clerks staffed Arab offices. The conquerors were few, perhaps tens of thousands, ruling millions. Their language and tribal solidarity became marks of privilege. By the late 630s, the caliphal government at Medina issued pay registers dividing booty and stipends by closeness to the prophet's circle, a system of rank rather than race, but one dominated by Arabs. As the empire expanded, revenue replaced plunder. The conquered land remained largely in the hands of local cultivators who now paid taxes to the caliph's agents. Arab garrisons lived off stipends sent from central treasuries. Intermarriage and settlement slowly spread Arabic speech into nearby towns. Women within Arabia experienced mixed outcomes. The new law curtailed female infanticide and granted inheritance shares, but preserved male guardianship and polygamy. In conquered territories, free women of subject populations kept local status. Enslaved women entered Arab households, some becoming mothers of prominent men. Islamic jurisprudence gradually imposed manumission obligations and limited indiscriminate enslavement, though inequality persisted. By 640 CE, the Arab polity ruled an arc from Egypt's Nile to Iran's Zagros Mountains, an empire created in barely a decade. Its armies had ended 2 centuries of Greco-Persian rivalry and placed the Arabic language and the idea of the Ummah at the heart of a new world order. Yet beneath triumph lay complexity. Conversion was still rare, Arabic scarcely spoken outside garrisons, and the conquered majority continued daily life much as before, until the next phase of consolidation. After 640 CE, the conquests paused long enough for administration to catch up with victory. The Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab, who reigned from 634 to 644 CE, ordered census and tax surveys across the new provinces. He retained most Byzantine and Persian officials, but appointed Arab emirs to supervise them. Arab soldiers were paid stipends from the central treasury in Medina and forbidden to seize peasant lands. This policy kept conquest an organized extraction system rather than uncontrolled colonization. When Umar was assassinated in 644 CE and succeeded by Uthman ibn Affan, who reigned from 644 to 656 CE, dissent grew. New wealth sharpened tribal rivalries. Disputes over appointments erupted into civil war. The assassination of Uthman in 656 CE and the brief, turbulent rule of Ali ibn Abi Talib who reigned from 656 to 661 CE, opened the first fitna, or internal conflict. It pitted tribal factions and emerging theological positions against each other, ending with Ali's death and the rise of a hereditary dynasty. Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan established the Umayyad Caliphate with its capital at Damascus in 661 CE. His family ruled for nearly 90 years, turning a community into an empire. The choice of Damascus symbolized a shift from the desert to the city, from charisma to bureaucracy. Under Abd al-Malik ibn Marwan, who reigned from 685 to 705 CE, changes were systematic. Greek and Persian administrative languages were replaced by Arabic. This bureaucratic revolution, completed around 700 CE, spread Arabic literacy among Christian and Jewish clerks. Coinage was standardized, images disappeared, inscriptions proclaimed God's unity and Muhammad's apostleship. The monumental Dome of the Rock, 691-692 CE, stood as both architectural statement and political theology, asserting Islam's permanence in the former Byzantine heartland. The empire expanded westward across North Africa. By 698 CE, Carthage had fallen. By 711 CE, Arab Berber armies under Tariq ibn Ziyad crossed into Iberia. Within 3 years, they held most of the peninsula, founding Al-Andalus. To the east, in 709 CE, Qutayba ibn Muslim conquered Bukhara and Samarkand in 712 CE, while Muhammad ibn Qasim seized Sind in 711 to 715 CE on the Indus. The speed was extraordinary. By 715 CE, Muslim rule reached from the Atlantic to the borders of China. The motives remained a blend, faith, booty, and opportunity, but logistics now relied on provincial resources rather than Arabian tribes alone. New converts, the Mawali, entered Muslim society, yet often received lower pay or status than Arab comrades. Such inequality provoked unrest, culminating in the Berber Revolt from 739 to 743 CE in North Africa and revolts in Khorasan. These movements revealed that Islam's universal message and Arab ethnic privilege were diverging ideals. Arabization under the Umayyads meant three main things: administrative language reform, symbolic coinage, and the diffusion of Arabic personal names among non-Arab elites. Greek, Coptic, and Persian secretaries adopted Arabic formulae to keep their posts. Local magnates styled themselves Abu Yusuf or Ibn Abdullah to signal alignment with new rulers. Even before linguistic shift in speech, onomastic Arabization, the spread of Arabic names, marked social adaptation. In Egypt and Syria, bilingual documents show families signing first in Greek or Coptic, later in Arabic within 2 generations. Religiously, conversion remained slow. In 750 CE, perhaps only 10 to 15% of the population of the Caliphate were Muslim. Most peasants remained Christian, Jewish, or Zoroastrian, but operated within an Arabic fiscal order. The hierarchy of the Dhimma guaranteed security for those who paid the jizya. Tolerance was pragmatic, not egalitarian. Women's status varied. In Arabia itself, Islamic law curbed infanticide and gave women fixed inheritance shares. In conquered lands, free women retained communal laws. Enslaved women from wars were integrated into households as concubines or servants. Some became mothers of future rulers. The mothers of several Umayyad princes were of non-Arab origin. Legal scholars gradually codified humane treatment and manumission procedures, though patriarchal control persisted. In 750 CE, rebellion in Khorasan, led by disaffected Arab and Persian Muslims, overthrew the Umayyads. The new Abbasid dynasty founded a fresh capital, Baghdad, in 762 CE, symbolizing a shift east toward Mesopotamia and Persia. Baghdad's circular design embodied cosmic order, caliph's palace at the center, bureaucrats in concentric rings. Persian administrative experience blended with Arab leadership, Islam's empire became multilingual and urbane. The Abbasids presided over what later historians called the Islamic Golden Age. Between 800 and 950 CE, a surge of translation and scholarship transformed Arabic into the world's premier intellectual language. Greek works entered through Syriac intermediaries. Indian mathematics enriched astronomy. Figures such as Al-Khwarizm formalized algebra. Al-Kind and Al-Farabi reconciled Aristotle with revelation. Physicians like Al-Raza wrote encyclopedias that would pass into Latin. Arabic became a medium of reason, not merely of religion. Baghdad's cosmopolitanism relied on diversity. Nestorian Christian translators, Jewish bankers, and Persian bureaucrats filled the city. Dims could rise high. The Jewish vizier Hasdai ibn Shaprut in 10th century Cordoba and the Christian physician Bukhtashu family in Baghdad show such mobility. Yet the Dhimma system still imposed taxes and occasional dress codes. Equality before law remained limited. The treatment of captives and slaves followed established codes. Prisoners of war were usually ransomed or integrated. Mass slaughter was rare, though recorded at some frontier sieges. Slave soldiers, the Mamluks, emerged by the 9th century, recruited from Turkic or Caucasian captives and converted to Islam. Female captives entered domestic service. Islamic jurisprudence encouraged freeing them through concubinage or contract, creating fluid social mobility unknown in rigid caste systems. By 900 CE, most educated people from Egypt to Iran could read or write Arabic, but not all were ethnically or linguistically Arab. Persia produced a renaissance of its own. Poets such as Rudakar and Firdaus wrote in New Persian using Arabic script, celebrating pre-Islamic legends. This marked a synthesis, Islamized yet not Arabized in ethnicity. Across North Africa, Berber dialects persisted. Only coastal elites became Arabic-speaking. In Egypt, Coptic survived in villages. In Syria, Aramaic lingered in mountain monasteries. Kurds survived in their mountainous regions. Arabization was strongest in cities tied to bureaucracy, weakest in hinterlands. Naming continued as a social indicator. Greek and Coptic names fade from documents after the 9th century, replaced by Arabic forms. Even Jewish and Christian families adopted Arabic theophoric names, Abdallah, Hassan, Ubaid, in everyday use while retaining Hebrew or Greek ones in liturgy. The Arabic patronymic Ibn, Bint, and the geographical Nisba, al-Misri, al-Dimashq, al-Andalus, became the universal grammar of identity. Within Abbasid cities, elite women like Zubaydah bint Jafar funded aqueducts and pilgrim routes, showing that wealth could translate into civic power. In law, women could own property and initiate certain divorces, yet public life remained male-dominated. Concubines of slave origin sometimes became scholars or poets, like the singer Arib. For rural women and the enslaved, labor and vulnerability persisted, mirroring broader medieval norms. By the late 10th century, the Abbasid caliph's authority shrank. Provincial dynasties, the Buyids in 945 CE in Iraq and the Fatimids in 969 CE in Egypt, ruled in their names or against them. The Islamic world became a commonwealth of states united by faith, law, and Arabic literacy, rather than by central command. Arabic endured as the language of theology and diplomacy, even where Persian or Turkish dominated the courts. By the 11th century, the caliphs of Baghdad were spiritual symbols rather than emperors. Real power passed to new military houses, the Turkic Seljuks, the Kurdish Ayyubids, the slave soldier Mamluks, and finally the Ottoman Turks. Each inherited the intellectual and bureaucratic fabric built in Arabic, but layered it with their own languages and identities. Islam had long since ceased to be an Arab monopoly, yet Arabic remained the connective tissue of scripture, law, and scholarship. In 1071 CE, the Seljuks defeated Byzantium at Manzikert, opening Anatolia to Turkic settlement. Their viziers administered through Persian, their theologians wrote in Arabic. From this blend emerged a trilingual culture, Arabic for faith, Persian for literature, Turkish for command. In Egypt, the Fatimids from 909 to 1171 CE, and later the Ayyubids from 1171 to 1250 CE, patronized Arabic science and theology while governing polyglot populations: Arabs, Copts, Nubians, Armenians, Greeks, and Jews. Under Salah al-Din al-Ayyubi, Saladin, a Kurd who reconquered Jerusalem in 1187 CE, Muslim unity was briefly renewed. Arabic chroniclers celebrated his victory, yet his Kurdish retainers reminded all that Islam's defenders were no longer exclusively Arab. The Mongol invasions from 1219 to 1258 CE devastated much of Western Asia. Baghdad fell in 1258 CE. Tens of thousands were killed and the Abbasid line extinguished. Yet within a century the conquerors themselves converted to Islam. Cities such as Tabriz and Samarkand revived Arabic scholarship alongside Persian and Turkic literatures. Meanwhile, the Mamluk Sultanate from 1250 to 1517 CE in Cairo turned Arabic once more into the language of government and record. Its slave soldier elite was ethnically diverse: Circassians, Georgians, Turks, but culturally Arabized through religion, schooling, and chancery practice. Every legal contract and court judgment appeared in Arabic, confirming its place as the language of legitimacy. Minorities and the law. Through these centuries, the Dhimma framework endured. Christians and Jews remained numerous in Egypt, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, paying taxes yet participating in commerce and medicine. In periods of stability, they prospered. In moments of zeal or scarcity, they suffered. When the Black Death ravaged the 14th century, some rulers scapegoated minorities, others protected them for the sake of fiscal order. Women's experience also remained stratified. Elite women endowed schools and hospitals, such as the Madrasa of Sit al-Sham, Saladin's sister, while peasant and enslaved women worked fields and homes. Islamic law offered marriage contracts, inheritance, and divorce rights, but social custom often constrained their use. By comparison with contemporary Europe, female literacy among urban elites was modest yet genuine. Women reciters and copyists are attested in Damascus and Cairo. The Ottoman Empire's rule from 1299 to 1918 united most Arabic-speaking lands under one sovereign. Turkish became the language of administration, but Arabic remained sacred and legal. Every province employed Arabic judges for Islamic law and Arabic preachers for the Friday sermon. The empire organized its subjects into millets, semi-autonomous religious communities. Jews, Christians, and Muslims governed their own courts and schools under imperial oversight. This system preserved diversity at the cost of formal inequality. The Ottomans also reshaped the landscape of Arabic itself. Printing, introduced cautiously in the 18th century, spread standardized scripts. Pilgrimage routes and postal roads bound Cairo, Damascus, and Mecca into one communication web. Arabisation deepened not through conquest, but through bureaucracy and education. From 1798 to 1918, the Europeans pushed into the Islamic and Muslim world. Napoleon's invasion of Egypt in 1798 CE announced Europe's arrival as a colonial power. The encounter introduced new sciences, conscription and printing, but also economic dependency. Arab scholars responded with the Nahda, or revival, a 19th century movement that rediscovered classical Arabic while borrowing from European languages. Figures like Rifa'a al-Tahtawa translated French works into Arabic, coining modern terms for citizenship and nation. During the 19th century, both imperial reform and nationalism redefined minorities. The Tanzimat edicts from 1839 to 1876 promised equality to all Ottoman subjects, dismantling the old Dhimmi system. For Christians and Jews, this opened new professions. For Muslims, it blurred centuries-old hierarchies. Yet equality proved fragile. Sectarian riots in Mount Lebanon in 1860 and the gradual Christian exodus from Anatolia and Syria showed the strain of transition. Women entered the public sphere through schools and journals. Writers like Aisha Taimur and Hind Nassif advocated literacy and legal reform, while in North Africa, Sufi lodges educated both sexes in recitation and crafts. The First World War, which started in 1914, destroyed the Ottoman Empire. New nation-states emerged under European mandates: Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Transjordan, and Palestine under British or French supervision, North Africa under French and Italian rule. In these new states, Arabic was promoted as a symbol of unity and independence. Standard Arabic became the language of administration and schooling, even in multilingual societies. In North Africa, French colonialism imposed French in schools. After independence, Algeria in 1962, Morocco in 1956, governments launched vigorous Arabization policies. Arabic replaced French in administration, but Amazigh, Berber languages persisted. By the 2000s, Amazigh gained constitutional recognition in Morocco and Algeria. In Iraq and Syria, Arab nationalism under the Ba'ath Party from 1963 championed pan-Arab identity. This brought education and broadcasting in Arabic, but marginalized Kurdish and Assyrian tongues, seeking to Arabize them. Similarly, the Kurds in Turkey faced repressive assimilation policies and attempted linguistic and cultural genocide at the hands of successive Turkish governments. In Iraq, the Kurds faced genocide and ethnic cleansing. Periodic repression, such as the 1970s Arab Belt in northern Syria, continued, attempting to Arabize the Kurds and their lands. Religious minorities adapted unevenly. Most Jewish communities emigrated to Israel between 1948 and 1967 amid Arab-Israeli conflict, ending millennia of presence in Baghdad, Damascus, and Cairo. Christian populations declined through emigration, but retained visibility in Egypt, Lebanon, and Iraq. Kurds, Armenians, and Assyrians navigated fluctuating tolerance within modern nation-states. The mountainous Kurdistan saved the Kurdish language and their culture, but they went through untold suffering in the hands of the Arabs and Turks. Women and social change modernization altered gender relations more profoundly than conquest ever had. Female education expanded across the Arab world in the mid-20th century. Yet expectations varied. Secular reformers in Egypt and Syria promoted unveiling and employment. Conservative revivalists insisted on domestic virtue. Both sides used Islamic history selectively, recalling Khadija's entrepreneurship or Aisha's scholarship to justify opposing ideals. In rural and minority communities, traditional authority often persisted longer. Kurdish and Amazigh women maintained roles in agriculture, leadership, and oral poetry, even as state schools Arabicized curricula. By the late 20th century, Arabization had achieved remarkable linguistic cohesion. Over 400 million people spoke Arabic as first or second language, though in many dialects. Yet diversity persisted beneath the surface. The revival of Kurdish, Amazigh, Nubian, and Syriac languages signaled enduring pluralism. Satellite television and the internet reconnected regional dialects to a shared standard while giving minorities new platforms. Islamic identity itself globalized. Migrants carried Arabic religious vocabulary to London, Paris, and Toronto. Digital media broadcast Quranic recitation alongside secular Arabic rap and cinema. Women scholars, filmmakers, and historians re-examined early sources, questioning inherited patriarchal readings without discarding faith. Across 14 centuries, Arabization followed power, prestige, and piety rather than forced decree. Conquest opened space. Bureaucracy and schooling cemented habit. Conversion, marriage, and ambition wove Arabic names and formulas into every stratum of society. For the conquered, life under Islamic rule was seldom uniform, ranging from pragmatic coexistence to persecution. Some minorities endured, sometimes flourishing, sometimes fleeing. Yet the outcome was a civilization that married revelation with reason, absorbing Persian, Greek, Indian, and African inheritances into one intellectual web. The Arabic language, once the idiom of a few tribes, became the vessel of philosophy, law, mysticism, and poetry for a quarter of the world, initially through conquest.